So this year I'm just volunteering a lot with, I'm in direct contact with about 4 different organizations. Some of them has to do with mental health in young people in Ireland, because Ireland has one of the highest rates of suicide in young people. So I'm working with them as well. Then we have a No Hate Speech movement, which is just tackling hate speech. I'm sure you guys know what hate speech is. We're doing that online with the National Youth Council of Ireland. And then I'm also volunteering with Eurobug, which is more European, and I get to travel. That's how I actually end up here. But anyway, my story began way long before any of this. It all began in Sudan. Used to be the biggest country in Africa until in 1955 there was a big revolution that led to a civil war from 1955 to 1972, and then there was peace for a couple of years, and then another revolution. So basically, the bottom line is my grandfather has lived half of his life through war in Sudan. My father has lived all of his life through war in Sudan, and right now I'm also doing the same thing. It's like an endless circle. So where I come in that story is actually when the second revolution began. My father's brother was part of it, but you see, in Africa, some of the generals, they abuse their power. They're supposed to help the people, but when they come to a village, they destroy everything. They burn down the houses, they take all the women in the villages, and then the men, any person over the age of 10 is given a gun to go and fight. So you can understand why people are rushing away from such a country, because people have, proper homes and stuff like that, and I'm pretty sure no one would want to leave his home, anything like for no reason. So this is where I see there's so many people trying to flee and things like that. But with my story, with me in the story is so my father's general, he's one of the bad guys basically. He came into a village and did what I was saying there, and I think he stood up to him and they ended up killing him. So my father went up to the general and asked for his brother, but then they said, oh, he was a spy working for the central government, so we killed him. And then they accused him of the same thing, so basically they caught him, tied him up, tortured him, and left him to die in the forest and things like that. And they actually took my mother as well. Like, as we speak, I actually have a brother in Sudan whose father is that general. So you can imagine the situation and things like that. But amazingly, he managed to not die in the forest and went to Congo, into a refugee camp there. But then the guys back in Sudan heard that the man is still not dead, so they keep sending their troops in to look for him in Congo. So it wasn't easy for him staying there. He had to constantly move around. And the story with my mom is one day they left her with no bodyguard to go and get water from the river. When she went there, there's no bodyguard. She dropped the bucket and ran day and night until she reached Congo, and somehow met with my dad again. And then the same story, the men keep on sending their men to look for my dad and stuff like that. So they can't take it anymore, and they moved to the next country, which was Uganda. And that's where I was born, in a refugee camp in Uganda. The scales of the refugee camp in Uganda is huge. There's in my camp alone, there's over 100,000 people. And because the war is so long in Uganda, they become used to the place. They build proper, it's not a proper house, but for us it was a proper house. It's better than nothing. And the camps were being run by the United Nations, so they actually had schools, but it's so big you can't educate, they can't build proper school basically for such a big number. But there were schools dotted across the place. My house was about 5 kilometers away from the school, so we walked every day to go to the schools, and we had hospitals. Like, with no electricity in them, so you can imagine what kind of conditions in there. And with the number of people in the schools, in my class, I think it was grade 3, there was about 300 people in one class. So they had to divide the class in like A and B. Still 150 people in the class. There's not enough chairs. People bring rocks, put it in front, all the way from the teacher's feet, all the way to the back, people sitting on rocks. Those were the conditions in the schools. But living there, my family especially was facing the same trouble he faced in Congo with the guys from Sudan looking for him to try and kill him basically. So my dad can't take it anymore and explain the issue to the UN. They have a program called family resettlement, in which they take people into a different country far away and with the aim of never going back home basically. And the story, my father's story, was basically written down, pictures of us was taken and sent to 4 different countries across the world. And Ireland was the first country to respond and say, okay, we'll take these guys in, make them one of us. And so what happened was that whole process, it took 7 years. So you can imagine 7 years living there and constantly have to move around the place for safety reasons. It wasn't an easy thing to do, but still, 7 years, eventually the Irish government, they actually sent in people to come to talk to us in Uganda, to tell us what to expect, tell us about the Irish culture, their weather, their food, everything about Ireland basically. And then it was until it was 2008 when we were finally brought to Ireland, and we were all put in an apartment basically, all the refugees, and basically it was an orientation program because to teach us simple things like how to use a microwave, how to use the washing machine, because we come from a place where there's no electricity, no running water in the house, so basically turning on the shower. That's what we were being told for about 6 weeks. Then after that, they brought us to the place where we would live as Irish citizens, basically. We were brought in a town called Kilkenny. That's where I live from. We live in right now. And amazingly as well, the Kilkenny County Council, the Kilkenny City Council actually, they talked to the local youth centre there, and they come up with a project that ran for about 3-4 months, I think. It was to help us integrate into the Irish society. Basically, we have Kilkenny local youths. They would spend a few times with us on the weekend and try to help us with homework and things like that. But that project didn't run for so long, so afterwards it ended, and I think it was actually 2 years ago, my friends and I, we decided to come up with another thing actually. We set up Kilkenny Intercultural Youths actually, where we gather a lot of youths from different backgrounds. We actually have like Latvians, Ukrainians, Polish, they're all part of us, and we just talk about issues in Ireland that young people should potentially face, mental health and things like that. So right now, we don't have so many members, but I think we're gonna grow, and basically, that's my story, and that's how I came to Ireland. Now I'm here. Thank you for having me. Like actually, last week with No Hate Speech Movement and Eurobag, we were working on ways of activism, basically tackling hate speech online and what we can do to help these issues. And we spent a couple of hours working on videos about refugees. Actually, the aim was to help people understand where the refugees is coming from and what they had to face, what they dealt with.
It's speakers on, just press the...
No.
So wechseln Sie Speaker.
regret I left behind. When I leave this world, I'll leave
Irma, last enough.
something to.
We have a problem.
The sound is delaying.
The sound is delaying. May I use my laptop for this?
Bring